morning. I'll just check you can hear me while I see if I can operate microphone and glasses at the same time. Right, this morning I'm going to talk about something that's probably a little bit of a Cinderella topic within sustainability when I'm talking to an audience of built environment professionals, the natural environment. Sustainability in its broadest sense has been part of your lexicon for 20 years, and you all know that sustainability is those three buckets of environment, social issues, and economic issues. Now, so far so unthreatening. Now, if I were to hazard a guess, and I probably am a betting woman, I would say that the elements that most property professionals are most comfortable with are around the economics of development, then possibly something around social purpose, and then probably environment last of all. Within the environment bucket itself, I'd wager that the thing you're least comfortable with is probably the natural environment, and the thing you're most comfortable with is probably carbon. I mean, we've had a long time to make progress with carbon. It's 12 years since the Stern report, and both climate change mitigation and adaptation, as well as reduction in carbon emissions, have become mainstreamed in the UK property and development industry. Perhaps it's not moving fast enough, but the direction of travel is good. But when we look at natural environment, biodiversity, ecology, whatever off-putting phrase you want to call it, how are we doing with that? Well, I would say not really so good. 58% of species have declined globally between 1970 and 2012, and many of those species declines are anthropogenic in nature due to activities like agriculture, fishing, pollution, and yes, development. We're missing the 2020 targets that have been agreed internationally to reduce the rate and halt the rate of biodiversity decline. And even if we had hit it, which we are in no position to do, then it may be considered too late. We'd be at a point at that of 67% of declining species, and we'd have entered the sixth great period of extinction in the planet's history. In the UK, 1,200 species are at risk of extinction, and the UK is actually ranked as one of the worst countries for the intactness of its natural heritage. We're 189th out of 218 countries. So how are we getting it so badly wrong? Now, you might say, well, that's just one strand of environment. We're getting better on carbon, we're getting better at respecting the landscape character. I might argue with you on that one. Or we're better at protecting listed heritage assets. And we can't juggle everything. We've got to tick these things off one at a time. But I think it's time for a paradigm shift. I'd like to suggest looking at it in a different way. The natural environment isn't just one sub-strand of environment in a bucket within a bucket, if you like. It is really everything, isn't it? It isn't a subset of your development project, one of the things you have to think about. Last time I checked, this planet was the only place we have to live, and so your projects and the entire economy are wholly owned subsidiaries of the natural environment. Nature provides all of the basic goods and services that we need to survive. It provides clean water, clean air, food, fuel, materials to make shelter, soils to grow things in, and a load of less tangible benefits of a cultural or spiritual nature. And contact with nature has been shown to benefit health, particularly mental health, to speed healing, and to increase happiness. These matters are considered externalities and aren't normally accounted for properly in our projects, but natural assets are critical to what we do, and we need to take it into account to reverse the declines that we've seen and build resilience for the future. Now, the government have seen this as the best way forward, as evidenced by the approach of the 25-year environment plan. With the government's stated ambition to leave environment in a better state than they found it and the promise of a green Brexit, regulation will get tighter, so I'm really sorry if you were hoping for freedom from all of that Brussels red tape. We're likely to see a new regulator. There'll be consultations on the form that should take coming out very soon now. And there's possibly new environmental legislation ahead at the devolved administration level. This isn't designed to tie you in knots. It's a shift in thinking that actually may well free up development by taking a more strategic approach to where we need to focus on biodiversity protection. And please don't think that this is only about development. The massive amount of area taken up by agriculture of course, will have a similar shift in thinking through changes in agricultural subsidy. Now, in terms of biodiversity, the benefits to humans are sometimes obvious and direct, harvesting wild food, pollinating plants, and so on, and sometimes less so. There's complex interrelationships between organisms and their environment, so you might not see the immediate benefit of having dormice on your development site, but you might accept that a woodland that's diverse enough to support dormice will also support a diverse range of invertebrates that will pollinate plants, which will provide food for birds, absorb carbon, provide a local cooling effect, and so on. And these externalities that we've ignored must now be incorporated into how we use land. Doing nothing isn't an option. Doing a bit is not an option. To avoid catastrophic impacts in the future, we need a radical change to business as usual. We need to move from a target that's often been missed of no net loss of biodiversity to one of significant net gain. And that means we need to think about environment in a very different way. Now, we've heard from Louise about some of the net gain projects that Berkeley have delivered. Those are great achievements, and they represent a change in approach that's to be welcomed, but we can, as an industry, do more. Net gain isn't just about getting some BREEAM points for planting a diverse hedge. It's about thinking more strategically, working with other developments, with local authorities, even at a national scale, to deliver mitigation and compensation packages at a scale that makes sense to the resources we're trying to protect, and delivering real benefits to wildlife in the right places. So I would say, get good advice, get it early, make an effort to understand what you have on and around your site and what it means. I'm a development consultant, I'm not a green warrior. I support the need for more and better housing, schools and hospitals, and I don't have a problem with developers making a healthy profit from delivering those things. But I quite rationally believe that I don't want those things more than I want clean air, clean water, safe food, and the ability to pass those things and everything else nature provides us with to my grandchildren. And I don't think most people would. Do you? Thank you.